Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the show, where we interview the nation's leading real estate entrepreneurs. It's your host, Stephen Schmidt. And if you're joining us for the second, third, or 100th time, welcome back. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to the show. It's probably about to be a regular on your podcast listening docket. I've got a treat for you guys today. I'm here in the studio with Mark Keene. Mark has been a real estate agent for over 7 years, got licensed in 2018, and he specializes in working with investors in his native state of Indiana. So we're going to roll right into it and have a great conversation today. But before we do, just remember, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, and real estate entrepreneurs 2 to 5x their businesses, which allows them to build the businesses they've always wanted, to allow them to live the lives they've always dreamed of. With that being said, Mark, welcome to the show today.
Welcome. Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're super glad that you're here, man. Can you just, before we get started into our topic of talking about real estate, can you share a little bit about yourself and how you got here?
Well, I've been a real estate agent, like I said, since 2018. How I became a real estate agent, I was helping a gentleman flip houses. Because before as an agent, I owned a remodeling company for over a decade. Now,
Really?
the guy that I was helping flip houses, he's like, dude, you got to become a real estate agent. You know more people and talk to more people than anyone I've ever met. So that's how I ended up getting my real estate license. I'm with my third company. I'm now the managing broker of my current office. The first office, I got recruited by Exit Realty, a great company. Was there for a couple of years. I'm the managing broker of BS Realty Services, Indiana LLC. Then we specialize with investors, and the services part is property management. The owners are Bill and Sabina. As a managing broker, I do the real estate stuff, and Bill and Sabina do the property management, the services part.
Now, so you owned a remodeling company before you got in the business. What made you decide to go get your real estate license?
Oh, same thing. The guy talked me into it. He's like, he was my first managing broker, and he was a real estate agent, and I used to help him flip houses. So he actually talked me in to get my license, and I worked with him for the first 2 years I was an agent. And it was just time to part ways. Good person, nothing against him. It was just time to move different direction.
Yeah. So what drew you to working with investors specifically? Because you had kind of a background with it already?
No, it just kind of happened. Because what happened, Bill and Sabina, how I got involved with Bill and Sabina when I was with Exit, they had investors. They were licensed in Illinois. I was licensed in Indiana. So Northwest Indiana with Gary and Hammond and Whiting and Lake Station and Maryville, great places to invest in real estate as you're a real estate investor. And they do the property management of it. So that's how they work with investors. Since they were licensed in Illinois and not in Indiana, they hired me as a referral agent. So we did like 12 deals together. I got my manager broker license. They opened up the office, and I became the manager broker.
I'm kidding.
And I started out with one investor 2.5, 3 years ago. And now I'm up to probably 24 different investors.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Because they talk about your elevator speech. You're in sales and you do, well, part of my elevator speech was, hey, I work with investors. You can Google me, my Google page. I've had investors find me from all over the country on my Google page because I live in Valparaiso, Indiana, which is about 20 minutes east of Gary. BS Realty owns property in Gary, and my Google page has my office with the property that we own there. So if you Google real estate agents in Gary, there's only 2 or 3 of us, and I pop up. So I get phone calls all the time on my Google page.
Wow. Now, so what does your typical investor client look like? Are they fix and flip, buy and hold, or something else?
Mostly we work with the guys that are ready to buy and hold. Sometimes they're brand new. We do a lot of video walkthroughs. Like I got a deal I'm supposed to be closing this week with an investor. This is a crazy story. He told me that he was wanting to invest in Gary. And when he was wanting to invest in Gary, he was on Realtor.com or Zillow, and he would call an agent, email them or text them, wait 24 hours, didn't get a response, he'd go on to the next person. I was the 6th real estate agent that he called. I was the first one that answered the phone. This guy not only is we're about ready to close on the first property, he wants to buy 5 or 6 more properties. All right, we're ready? All right.
Yep.
So your question was, what's my typical investor?
Right.
Most of them, since we don't have a construction company, we try to get them so they're 30 to 60 days ready for someone to move in. Maybe add a ceiling fan, maybe paint the walls, clean up the basement, that kind of stuff. Sometimes they do a little bit. If it's a totally unfinished basement, they may frame it out, add an egress window, add an additional bedroom, that sort of thing. But we try to get them ready. The properties we look at for the investors, especially since they're out of town, and we don't want to do any sort of maintenance, is the HVAC system's pretty good, the roof's in pretty decent shape. We don't want to get the phone call at 5:30 on a Friday, hey, the water heater's out. We want to eliminate that kind of stuff. So we look for properties that are pretty well put together. When it comes to the investors, they all have their typical, they run the numbers is what they say. So when I could take the same property and send it out to 10 or 12 different investors, and I'll get 2 people interested. The rest of them say the numbers don't work. They have their way of doing the math. They know how it works. They know what it looks like. And then we proceed. If they want us to go look, we go look. The last guy, I had an investor that bought 2 properties. We're trying to close on 2 properties coming up. I did video. He's an over-the-road truck driver. Lives not too far from here. Actually, someone helped buy at the house he's living in like 3 years ago. I did probably half a dozen video walkthroughs for him. Send them to him, like, all right, we like these 2. Let's make offers on those. So we ended up getting both of them accepted.
That's awesome. So what do you think separates a great investor agent from just a traditional residential agent? Because what I find is there almost seems to be like the never-ending battle between investor versus a realtor in pretty much most markets. Like they don't really play together very friendly. So what typically have you ran into in that space? What do you think really separates yourself, especially being willing to work with investors?
So, you're talking about wholesalers or things like that, or what the difference is, or?
No. In general, what I find is that investors, unless they're I guess unless they are buying and holding, right? Generally speaking, most investors, fix and flippers and wholesalers, I guess, would probably be the ones that I see.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Having the most issues, but in general, I don't find realtors are very willing to play with investors that much.
Well, see, it's that doesn't make any sense to me because I'd rather have like a great. I have an investor. The two I have in California, they're mom and son. I talked to the son first. He called me on one of my listings. So I'm asking about the listing, and he said, "Yeah, I'm closing on another property just a month ago." I said, "Well, you already work with a real estate agent." He goes, "No, I only call the listing agents." I go, "Why would you only call the listing agents?" He goes, "It's easier just to talk to them." I go, "Well, you're in California? Wouldn't you rather have boots on the ground that someone's willing to work with you and go look at properties, so that way you know you're protected?" I said, "You're looking at my listing. I'd love for you to buy my listing, but if you don't, I'd rather help you find your next 2 or 3 properties than stop with just my listing. Then you'll know that you're protected when it's here." And he agreed with that. So he and his mom have since bought 4 properties through me. What's crazy about that is one of the other ones that he bought before he started working with me, he went through the listing agent. The listing agent was also his property manager for the property. Once that contract ended, he let BS Realty Services take over as property managers. Once we took over, we discovered he needed a new roof before he bought the property. There was mold in the property that the listing agent and the property managers never told him about. So if he would have gone through us, he would not have bought that property. He had like a $30,000 price tag to fix the property once we took over just to make it inhabitable. And
Wow.
the other people he was dealing with, they were just trying to sell him the property and call it a day and collect his rent every month for him.
Right.
And I try to treat people fair. You know, you build that relationship with an investor. Like I have a guy that's in Florida. We're closing on his first property, probably coming up here this week. He wants to get 6 properties over the next 12 months. That's 5 more deals. My guy that we're closing on 2 properties, probably before the month's over. He wants to have 6 properties. He wants to have 15 properties by the end of 2026.
Yeah.
That's built-in income as a real estate agent. Why you would not want to work with an investor, I have no idea.
Sure. So how do you evaluate whether a property is a good investment opportunity or not?
Part of it is the experience I have as a remodeler. That helps considerably.
Sure.
Before I did remodeling, I sold building materials for close to 2 decades. So when I walk into a house, I know the structure of the house. I know if it could be fixed. If I walk in and there's like a support post down in the basement every 10 feet, that's not a good property.
Right.
If the foundation's cracked. One of my agents in my office is actually my oldest son, who's also a licensed home inspector. So He walks through, he's getting the eyes of a home inspector. Bill Ashcraft, the owner of my company, he actually took a home inspecting course. So when I go through, when I work with investors, I don't just go through as a real estate agent by myself. I bring at least my son Jeremy or Bill and Sabina along with me as the property managers, because they're the ones, if I have my investors off to them, they're the ones that are responsible for maintaining the house. So if you got eyes of a home inspector in there or the property managers in there besides me, it's important to eliminate the houses as much as it is to find the good one. And like a typical search for me with a brand new investor, I will pull up possibly 200 to 250 homes on the MLS that within their search criteria, and I'll literally click on each one of those houses to get the description, to see what it is, and look at all the pictures. And out of those 250, I'll send them 25 houses to look at. Of the 25 houses, they're going to narrow it down to maybe 10 or 11.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Then we go walk through the 10 or 11 and look at those. So we've eliminated a lot of that before we even start walking through. And of the 10 or 11, we're going to get it down to 1 or 2.
Right. Now, so do you personally invest as well?
I have not personally invested. It's on the list of things I'm wanting to get accomplished. I haven't done it yet.
I gotcha. What's holding you back?
And I have a lot of fun being a real estate agent. And kind of it's part of it is like a conflict of interest. I've had investors I've worked with that said, I used to work with that real estate agent. I don't want to work with them anymore because the good houses, he would buy the good houses before he even sent it to me. So if I can eliminate that conflict of interest, they know I have their best interest at heart.
Yeah, no, that does make a lot of sense for sure. Now, so I know we talked a little bit about like Gary, Indiana, right? Like, is that like the best market that you're seeing in your area right now? What's so great about Gary and investing there?
Partly it's probably the most undervalued property in the country. At least it used to be. I'm what's known as a region rat. Northwest Indiana is the Calumet region. There's a Calumet River that runs through here in the state of Indiana. We're known as the region. We're kind of like we're almost like a suburb of Chicago as opposed to being in the state of Indiana.
Oh, really?
So, and if you're from the region, you're known as a region rat. And I'm a region rat. I've grown up here. When Gary first started in my youth, as a 10 or 11-year-old kid, I could go to downtown Gary by myself and do shopping. There were buses that got you there, public transportation. Fast forward to the late 70s or early 80s, houses in Gary in the classified ads, you could find a really good house for $500 in the classified ads and nobody was buying it.
Wow.
So no one was living in those houses. So if you get on YouTube and look in Gary, there's some knucklehead that's out there creating YouTube videos. He goes through the worst parts of Gary, the worst parts of Detroit. He goes through the bad cities, finds the worst parts and go, hey, here's the city. This is what it looks like. And it's like 10 to 15% of the city. He's showing you the worst parts.
Sure.
There's actually really nice parts in Gary, really nice cities, really nice houses in Gary. And we currently have a lot of people within that are investors and flippers that are going to Gary because you can go to Gary and buy a house for $50,000. That's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. And it costs you $50,000 to $60,000 to put it all back together.
Mm-hmm.
So you got $110,000, $120,000 into it. You can list it now for $160,000 to $170,000. So it's a nice turnaround with the numbers. There's people that do that. As a company, we don't really do that too much because you got to have the contractors. We're not a construction company. We have a couple investors that want to do that, but they're responsible for their own contractors putting it all back together.
Yeah. So what are some?
Your question?
Yeah, no, it does 100%. What are some common mistakes you see new investors making?
What's that?
What are some common mistakes that you see new investors making?
Paying too much for a house. They don't be able to get the return back. Or we don't do them too much. Like you get into the ones that need a flip and they don't have any experience flipping a house and they get in over their heads. They get halfway done and it kind of freaks them out. They don't know what to do.
Have you ever talked to anybody out of a deal?
Oh yeah. That's as important. I got a fiduciary responsibility to my investors. It's just as important to them to have their back say, no, you don't want to do that. Like if you go on my Google page, I got 56 reviews on my Google page, and you'll find a couple of mine there where first-time home buyers say, hey, we like working with Mark because he told us, hey, this is not a house for you. You don't want to buy this house.
Yeah.
My responsibility is to my clients.
So how much of your business is split between retail versus like the investor side?
Probably 50-50.
Really?
Yeah. The bigger dollar ones are the home buyers. You know, the investors aren't looking for the $400,000 house. They're not looking for a $350,000 house. The investor side, if they get above $150,000, they're up high for an investment. I think the highest number I think I've ever done with an investment property is 170. Except for one, that lady flipped once. I had an investor. She paid $200,000 for a house. She had it for 3 months. We turned around and sold it for $335,000.
Wow.
So, but I knew the property. I knew the area.
Right. One of the things you mentioned was, as far as common mistakes that you see is people overpaying for a house. And so, like, how do you help clients avoid overpaying in competitive markets?
What I do is there's a couple different apps that I have access to as a real estate agent. So when I have a house that I think they might be interested in, and I do this with everybody, not just investors. If I'm showing houses to somebody and they're interested in the house, I will pull the comps on it for it. If it's value that they want, then fine, we'll do it. Like I had a house, there's a community called Michigan City. This is probably 2.5, 3 years ago. I had a client that really liked the house, but it needed to be flipped. I mean, you could move into it. I call it like a Brady Bunch house. It was like the Brady Bunch lived in this house. That was the decor of this house.
Yeah.
Well, the listing agent lived in the same neighborhood. She thought what she knew the value was, and she had it listed for, I think, $255,000. I pulled the comps, and the house put back together was only $220,000. This one needed work. So my clients offered $210,000 for this house, and it was listed at $254,000, something like that. And I even told her, you show me the comps to support this, they'll offer more. But this is what I found. They ended up getting for $214,000 because she couldn't provide the comps. I had another client that they wanted to buy a house in East Chicago. The house in East Chicago was listed at $285,000, and they wanted to offer the $285,000 on the house. It was a really cool house. And I pulled the comps in East Chicago. In East Chicago, Indiana, over the previous 12 months, the most any house that ever sold was $235,000. So this was listed $50,000 higher than anybody else any house that had sold. So I went back to them. I go, you're not offering $285,000. If you want to do the $235,000, that's the most any house has sold. I'll write up the deal for you. But we're not doing $285,000. I'm not letting you do that. And again, I went to that agent, showed me the comps, and they couldn't do it. So that couple walked away and found a different house somewhere else.
No kidding. Ended up not buying it at all.
Yeah, they just wouldn't do it. And probably I wouldn't let them. It was a young couple with 2 kids, and they're like, really like the house. Yeah, but you're not getting inside. You're not going in. You're not doing it. I'm not going to allow you to put yourself in that situation.
Right.
They offered the $235,000 and it got turned down. So, but that's part of your job as a real estate agent. Look out for your clients.
Yeah, 100%. Now, so like with finding the deals, are you doing mostly on-market properties, or like how do you keep investors in the loop on opportunities before they hit the MLS?
I have a lot of people that find me on my Google page. One of my clients was a guy from Virginia. He had 3 properties in Gary, and he called me up. Hey, I got these 3 properties. I want you to list them. So I got the properties. Bill and Sabina have a lot of investors. I have a lot of investors. We shared those 3 with the investors. I ended up selling 2 of those before they hit the MLS, and the other one I sold shortly after that. I have a lot of wholesalers that come to me. I got these properties. Could you promote them for me? And I do that occasionally. I have other guys that, hey, when you have new listings, when they're available, let me know. I'd be interested before they get on the MLS. So I have a network of probably 3 or 4 different investors, that'll be interested in doing that.
So now what's your approach on turning like a one-time client into a long-term business partner? Because you've kind of got the secret sauce for that figured out, it sounds like.
Well, you kind of interview the client. Your homeowners, though, that's just kind of like every year we have a Christmas party. Anyone I've ever helped find a house, they get invited to our Christmas party. Sometimes they show up, sometimes they don't. You stay connected with them a little bit. You let them know if they have an issue with the house, they can reach back out to you. Like I had a client, they moved in and they had a roof leak, and they were supposed to have a new roof in their house like a year after they moved in. I reached out to the listing agent, here's what's going on. And within like 3 weeks, the seller, to his credit, knew it was a new roof. He sent his roofer over and they got the roof fixed. You know, you help them out. It's not a one-shot deal. As far as investors, you need to interview them and find out what they're wanting to do. You know, most investors, they dream of having that investment portfolio that they're going to live on the beach when they retire because they're making so much money with the real estate. The goal is to help them get that accomplished. I got a financial advisor I work with that I've sent my guy that I got 2 closings coming up. My truck driver, I sent him to my financial advisor like a year and a half ago. And the two of them have been working together for like a year and a half till finally he's in a position to buy houses. Now we're buying houses. So it's having that team to work with.
How important has been building that team for you to have long-term success?
Oh, it's extremely important. It's important to have, like the title companies that I work with, because you always have issues. You got to be able to call someone and have them have your back. It helps to have my son be my home inspector. That's a nice part of having my team. Bill and Sabina, as far as being property managers, I don't know if I'd have the investor clientele if I wasn't working with Bill and Sabina to have as a team, to have their support. Makes a big difference. When you could go and say, here's what we have and we can look out for you, that helps. We have guys that do clean out stuff. You got to put the team, you got lenders. Lenders are a big part. You got to have lenders that you can take your investors to and go, here, talk with these people, and they're going to get you through some of the hiccups to get them to get to a closing. That's a big part of the deal.
Yeah, 100%. Well, Mark, thanks so much for being here today. If people want to connect with you, learn more about you, where should they go for that?
A couple different ways. I got an email. That is mhkeene, Keene, the number 60 @gmail.com. They can Google Mark Keene Real Estate Agent. That you can find me there real easy. I got a website, writing/realtor.com. Like you and I talked before we got on, I ride a Harley. I put 6,000 miles a year on my Harley showing houses. So it's a lot of fun. I have a good time. I'm not the normal real estate agent that rolls up on the driveway.
Not at all. No, I love it. That's what separates you, though, in a way.
So, but yeah, it's. I love working with people. I love working with investors. It doesn't matter what state you're in. Like you and I talked, I got them in California and Vegas and Texas. I'm part of an organization also that we have not discussed. It's called Homes for Heroes. Have you ever heard of Homes for Heroes?
I have, yep.
Because it's a real. There's 5 different heroes: active, retired, military, law enforcement, first responders, so firefighters and EMTs, healthcare workers, and education. What I do as a real estate agent, I give up 30% of my gross commission. There's a benefit that goes back to each hero. What the benefit is, it's $700 for every $100,000 involved in the transaction. So if you buy a $100,000 house, you get $700 back. $200,000, you get $1,400 back. To date, I've done 24 hero transactions, and I've given back over $34,000.
Wow.
So
that's amazing.
Kind of a cool thing, kind of an honor to work with people. My guy in Florida, about ready to close on, he's a 23-year Navy veteran. So he's about ready to get like $850 back from the price of his house. Kind of a thing.
Well, there you go, everybody. I hope you enjoyed today's show. We'll see you on the next episode. Thanks again for being here, Mark.
All right. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.